Good morning. Today, on the third Sunday before Lent, the readings are Luke 6:17-26 and 1 Corinthians 15:12-20. Game changers. That is the description of those moments when things become different and our outlook changes because of them. The information that we have received gives us a new perspective and is helpful in coping with situations that we thought we could never get on with. It may be so different that it feels like it's upside down, but then maybe it is only now the right side up. Last week, we were thinking back to the way a sports team would be chosen at school, and that Jesus was also choosing a team when he chose the 12 disciples. When he did that, he didn't spell out to them in detail what was going to happen, but he did begin to teach them the pointers and principles that they needed for their future development as the apostles, who were to build the church as witnesses to God's work of salvation. In other words, Jesus was picking an Israel team who would be the starting point for the renewal of God's people. And he gave them orders as to how this would work in a radical way, an upside-down way, which turned things the right side up. The codes for living were already set down in the law in the book of Deuteronomy that describe long lists of blessings for those who obeyed the law, the covenant, the binding agreement between God and his people, and curses for those who didn't. But Jesus, in forming a renewed people around him, was giving them a new version of the law in the radical changes that he was going to bring in the fulfillment of God's promise. That was good news, especially for those who hadn't had any good news for a long time. Things were not right in society. Injustice was reigning. But Jesus says to the poor, the hungry, those who mourn, and those who are hated, blessings on you. In a world where only the wealthy, the healthy, and the happy are supposed to be blessed, everybody else who might be struggling for survival often felt anything but blessed. Rather, they would feel cursed, and often through no fault of their own. What's more, that was usually the picture that the seemingly blessed had of those who were less fortunate, possibly abused and left out. Of course, there's nothing positive and nothing nice about being poor, hungry, sad, or hated in itself. What's the benefit in that, one could ask? Surely there's nothing positive about injustice. That's why God's justice and his kingdom needed to come, and Jesus came to turn things the right way up again. Well, we can, of course, see where the opposition to his intervention was coming from. It came from those who like things to stay the way they are, the so-called privileged, happy few. And that's also something that Jesus addresses in his warnings that follow. Woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Was that because in itself wealth and health and happiness are wrong? No, of course not. Rather, it's wrong when wealth and health and happiness are not shared with those in need, and when there is a disregard for God's will for all humankind. What Jesus began with his calling of the 12 and his teaching for wholeness for all is still in force today. It's the cry for justice and wisdom and peace that we can only hear and attend to if we are willing to listen. That's when the upside-down world of today can become the right side up again. What is God saying to you today about being a game changer for the kingdom? Amen.